Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Bell to Bell with Billy Blaze. I'm your host, Professor Jeremy Vilmur, and joining us now, Virgil's favorite enhancement talent, Billy Blaze.
Well, what a long, strange trek it's been.
Indeed. What's happening, Bobby?
There?
I did.
Not much, man. I guess this strange new trek thing's the new thing, you know. Got your new podcast out there.
I am trying to work on it. Yeah. That is the current project, indeed.
Well, I'm wishing you the best of luck with your partner there. I do have one gripe, though.
Yes.
I see you are sharing some brandy and finger food on that podcast. And fuck, all we get is beer on this podcast. You know?
Yeah, but Bobby, it's Saurian brandy, and they're a dinosaur-like alien, and you don't want to drink their shit. I'm telling you right now.
Well, I'm completely happy with beer, just so you know.
Yeah.
The beer supply has been fine.
Yeah,
so, no complaints. I just wanted to rib you a little bit.
Yeah, we're better off with the Miller Lite. I'm telling you right now.
Okay.
This stuff tastes like bird piss. So it's not very good.
Oh, well, I'll have a couple Miller Lights after the program today, man.
There you go.
So Billy, fuck, man, what's up? You call me Billy. Got old man gets his picture in the newspaper. They can't get his name right, but I'm not complaining about that either, man.
No, I'm kind of wondering if we ought to just lean into that, because now you're in the paper as Billy Blaze. You know, it's maybe we just run with it. You know. I did see somebody was ribbing you over the weekend with Billy Blaze, and I can't remember who it was right now. It was on Twitter. Somebody was giving you a hard time on there with it.
Oh, were they? I might have missed it. I don't know.
I should have paid attention to who it was. No, I was thinking of something, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to, if I'm going to follow through with it. I was thinking of the other day, a friend of mine had done an episode of somebody else's podcast, and they had done no research. And it was funnier than hell as somebody who knew that. As you're hearing it, you're just like, holy shit, this guy's really bad. And I was thinking I was going to do this episode like an interview that I had done no research for. Then I realized I think I know you too well to actually pull that off. Yeah. Because I realized that, you know, I'm going to say something stupid and then I'm going to laugh because, you know, obviously, you know, but there's no way I don't know it. So, yeah.
Well, do what you can. How's that?
Yeah. I'll see if I can do it.
Okay, well, before we start goofing then, I mentioned the long, strange trek because I wanted to promote you, the new podcast you have, A Strange New Trek, because today's podcast is going to be about podcast.
Hey!
Some of my favorites, and I'll let you interview me. I'll talk about them. We'll talk about them, discuss them. I do want to get this out there, though. Let's get this right off the top here. Time Warp is once again our sponsor. So, Jeremy, you know, when you come to Ashland, and we're shooting for hopefully getting you here in October, I guess.
Yeah.
If all goes well, we'll just have to see. But I'm going to just go live real quick here. Attention, video gamers, sports fans, and nostalgia enthusiasts. Are you ready for a time warp? Jeremy gives us a hell yeah. Time Warp is a brick and mortar hobby shop with a huge selection of everything sports, gaming, and collectibles in downtown Ashland with 2 locations in the Ashland Town Center. They've got vintage toys, sports cards, collectibles, and man, they've got tons of wrestling merchandise. It's the largest selection of memorabilia in the tri-state. Time Warp also has an extensive inventory of vintage and current video games and consoles. It's a 100% must-visit for retro gamers, and that's why I know you'll be there, Professor. Also, the Time Warp buys your collectibles daily and open 7 days a week, 363 days a year. They're only closed on Christmas and Thanksgiving. You can check them out on their Facebook page at Time Warp Ashland.
So, yeah, we're going to talk about your favorite podcast today. But before we do that, let me ask you, for you, what makes a good podcast?
Interesting questions, interesting guests, but also depends on what topic you like. You know, there's certain podcasts I'll mention on here that obviously I like a lot of professional wrestling ones, but I'm gonna go outside of the wrestling genre on some of these podcasts. What I think makes a good one, something that I'm interested in and can keep my attention during it, so I'm not fucking around doing something else on a computer or looking at my phone, you know, doing other stuff. I like that. But then also I like when there's times during a podcast, I can just put it on, be in another room, sitting out eating, doing whatever, throwing some clothes in the laundry, that you don't have to pay that much attention to either. It just depends on the guest and the content. But the thing is, I just like fun,
Sure.
I know there's serious ones, but I like a lot of fun and silliness involved in a lot of podcasts that I listen to. So...
it's I
and a good host. How about that?
I think that's important too. But for me, when I try to do things that are because of humor, I have such a wide swing on my humor. I like either really, really, really dry, witty humor or really fucking goofy 12-year-old humor. I don't like anything in between them. I like those two extremes.
I got you.
Yeah, so it's hard for me to focus on any one thing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my first one that I probably started listening to way back when, and I don't know for whatever reason, but the first, and it's one of the old, to me, it's one of the ones that's been around. I think he's got over 1,600 episodes or so.
Oh, wow.
Maybe more. Is Mark Maron, Fuck the World.
Yeah.
I just his sense of humor, he's a comedian. He's been through a lot of shit in his life, and he's just funny to me, in a good way. He's got 1,300 different podcasts, just on ICF, but anyway, or IFC channel. He had a good show in there. He always had comedians come on that show as well. But Mark is just he has a wide variety of guests, and he's interviewed so many people through the years. The one thing about Mark, and I've went back and done this for a couple people, is he'll have someone that recently passed away on the podcast from, like, say, from 2013 or 2010 or 2009. And he had, like, Michael K. Williams, who played Omar on The Wire.
Oh, yeah.
And he had interviewed him over a movie that he was on or in that came out, I think, last summer, or summer before last, rather. And then, of course, he passed away, and he played that one. And I went back and, listened to that one again. I'm getting kind of chills telling you. So I like that. It depends on, depends on who his guest is. But I generally give him a listen. And mostly when I give him a listen, they're usually about an hour, and I can break them down, over the course of a couple different segments throughout the day,
Yeah.
And he starts off with a rant and a rave and a man in a cave or what have you, and he closes out with a little bit of his guitar riffs. And so the hour is actually about 55 minutes, probably 45 minutes of content and, his other stuff in there. So it's pretty good. It's about the right length. So I like that. It's probably one of my earlier ones that I really enjoyed.
Yeah. It's, you and I have always strived for about 45 minutes, but it seems like we hit an hour and 15 no matter what we do. So I have to give a hats off to Mark Maron for always coming in just under an hour.
Yeah.
But the problem I have with Mark Maron, because you knew there was going to be one,
sure,
is I constantly confuse him and Paul Provenza. So I always think Mark Maron ruined Northern Exposure, but it wasn't him.
Yeah. No, different person.
Yep.
So, but but I like that. Fuck the World. When it comes on, it's got that music and it goes, "Lock the gate," and it's him yelling from Almost Famous, where he's playing a rock promoter.
Oh yeah.
The band is that's him that comes out of the club yelling. The band's running, driving away in a bus, and he screams, "Lock the gate." And, of course, the bus goes through the gate. And that's a hell of a good movie. And he's been on bit parts in a lot of good movies, man. I haven't seen it yet, but he's got a part in the Aretha Franklin movie that came out last year. So he's always staying busy doing something.
Well, and he was really good in
like
Glow, But yeah.
I forgot about that, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. He usually plays a more background character because he really had a front and center character in Glow. But he's very good in the roles he takes. And, his show, I've listened to it a few times. He has access to better guests than I ever had. So I'm kind of like, at the same time, I'm like, fuck that guy, so,
yeah, that's why he says fuck the world.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but yeah, I'm with you. He's had a lot of tremendous guests, man, over the years.
Yeah.
So.
So who were, okay, let me try to phrase this correctly here. As far as interview style goes, where would you rank between 1 and 10? Where would you put Mark Maron?
Oh man, I'd probably give him like an 8.5, honestly.
Okay.
I don't think he's perfect, but I don't think he don't deserve a 7. He don't. I think it's an 8.5. I think that's a solid.
That's a really solid number.
Yeah. He also does what you and I talk about. When he throws a question out there, he listens. You know, and that's what's going to take us to my next favorite one that I've listened to through the years and watched when it was on YouTube. But yeah, I think Mark is a solid 8.5, man.
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't know you was going to ask me that question. That's just that's you know.
Yeah, so yeah, we didn't discuss this ahead of time. I'm just going to ask. Basically, Bobby, I'm going to treat this like an episode of Geekish Cast, where I'm going to ask follow-up questions and things.
Got it, man.
Yeah.
See what we can do. Yeah. I don't know. I should have some beer already.
Oh, yeah. You know, we could have talked to it, but oh, well. So who is your next on the list?
The Joe Rogan Experience, man. Joe Rogan. I've watched him for years now. I used to catch his live feeds when he was on YouTube, and he was doing 3 or 4. This was back when he was in California, and he was doing 3 and 4 a week. And sometimes it would come on about 3 o'clock my time, which is obviously noon out there in California. And depending on the guest, I'd either watch it live, or if I really liked the guest, I'd save it for later on, because I knew after about an hour at the time, they would play it back once they did their editing or what have you. And again, depending on the guest, I really enjoyed that. You know, just I still listen to Rogan. He's over on Spotify, but some of his guests, to me, you know, they're way above on what they're talking about. You know, and some of the biochemist or something, and it's not a field that I'm, you know, real familiar with.
Sure.
Interested in the guest maybe. Or the book they're promoting, or what have you, but sometimes I just, you know, I bypass, like, I'm not listening this week, you know. Especially now, Spotify, I mostly listen. I've seen a couple people on the podcast, other comedians, and I've enjoyed those, you know.
Yeah.
I think where I was going with that when we mentioned Mark earlier, that's the thing Rogan does as well to me. He throws out a question and listens. And he admits, I'm a comedic meathead. He says, I'm an idiot, which he's not. He says, but I just retain a lot of stuff from smart people. And plus, he's got Jamie over looking it up for him at the fucking, you know, bat of an eye. And look it up, Jamie. Look it up, you know. And also, Joe Rogan must have more friends than anyone in the world, because even if he's had a person on for just one segment throughout, you know, a shitload of interviews he's done, he goes, my friend, and he'll mention someone, and he'll go, what's his name, Jamie? So it's always, you know.
Yeah.
But again, what an array of guests he's had through the years, you know. So.
Oh, absolutely. Now, just in the interest of full disclosure, we are on Anchor FM, which is owned by Spotify. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, we're not going to say anything negative about Spotify, because Spotify cares.
No, I'm not. I had it on my phone. I took it off. I still have it on my. The way I watch it now, or listen to Spotify now, rather, is I do it through my Fire Stick. I just. No, I just don't understand why. I don't understand why Anchor hasn't given us $100 million fucking dollars for the next 10 years.
I don't know. I don't get it. So there was a little controversy. He had a doctor on who had a unpopular point of view, and immediately everybody's calling for Joe Rogan's head, which is a bunch of bullshit. It's not a violation. First, I wanted to say this because everybody gets it wrong. It's not a violation of his First Amendment rights. That's the government stopping you from speaking. When it's a whole bunch of whiny fucking man babies in their mom's basements, then it's just people piling on and being assholes. If you can't stand up to something that is stupid that you disagree with, you're not an adult. You're a whiny little fucking man baby. I just wanted to get that out of my system.
No, that's good. And the thing about it is, I saw several tweets when that was happening, and people said, I've never even watched the show, and actually I like it. You know,
Yeah.
they said I've watched a couple episodes. I kind of like this Joe Rogan guy. It's not like you needed any more fucking followers anyway. You know,
No.
he's got 8 million followers on Twitter. It's hard telling on his. I don't know what it is now. Supposedly, I can't remember who he had on there, but he was telling them when they came over from YouTube, they brought. It jumped to like 9 million, but what it was a lot of bots and things. And he said I think we brought honestly about 4 million people. I think it was that they got it narrowed down to.
That's still a gigantic
he's probably well
number.
above 500. Yeah, I think he's above 500,000 now because that's been several months back. But yeah, he's got the huge. You know, it's kind of like I heard someone the other day. I do not recall who it was. They was talking about Howard Stern being the king of all media at one time. Well, now, you know, it's Joe Rogan. And also, when you're on Rogan's podcast, it used to be Johnny Carson when he invited you over to the couch.
Yeah.
Well, now I guess if you're on Rogan's podcast, that shows you made it, you know, kind of thing.
Yep.
So that's how, you know, that's how big his fucking podcast is.
Yeah.
But again, I've been with him for a long time, through the years.
Oh, you're dropping out a little bit there. Let's see.
And you there?
Yeah, I'm here. You dropped out there for about
sorry,
5 seconds or so.
I was just saying I've read several books from authors he's had on that I wasn't familiar with that I've enjoyed, you know, and I find it, you know, it can be educational, just like anything. It can be funny. I'm gonna take off on the next one here in just a second. Who I found through Rogan and was one of the funniest fucking people I've ever seen. The next two are going to be, but so yeah, he's introduced me, you know. To a lot of people I wouldn't normally have watched, you know. The Elon Musk interview that got so much attention, you know, Elon essentially put the joint up to his lip and just barely touched it and he said he wasn't a drug guy, you know, and everyone raised hell about that, and it really wasn't much of anything. It was towards the end of the show, but I thought Elon was a really good guest, man. He came on like a Friday night at an odd time, like 10 o'clock, and they ran it live, you know. And I just happened to be watching YouTube, and I was like, oh, fuck, Rogan went live. And I'd be damned if it wasn't Elon Musk. And I thought, man, this guy's, you know, interesting character. I followed him, didn't know a whole lot about him. I knew his name, obviously. But he kind of came across like I thought he would, you know.
He's an interesting guy. I
thought you were going to say he's an alien. That's what Rogan referred to him as.
Yeah. No, you know what it is with him, Bobby, that freaks me out? He believes that we might be in an ancestor simulation, that we might just be a computer simulation.
Yeah.
And there's absolutely nothing that refutes that, and that fucking weirds me out.
It weirds me out. I tell you, it's like this actually could be one fucking big simulation, you know? Yeah. And that freaks me out too. You could be thinking right now somewhere there's a Jeremy Vilmur or Bobby Blaze in another fucking dimension, and they're already, you know, or we've lived this before, or someone's running this whole mind fuck on us right now.
We've already been dead for 1,000 years. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it's a mind fuck, man.
Yeah,
but,
and you know, there's this thing too, and I'll get off of this really quick.
Sure.
So you ever notice that like something is impossible until it's not in the world, right? So the 4-minute mile, you can't do it. And then somebody does it, and okay, now everybody can break the 4-minute mile. Cannot break the sound barrier. Somebody does it, okay, now everybody can break the sound barrier. There are no aliens out there. But one day we're going to find evidence of one, and then there's going to be 1 billion of them out there. And the more shit like that happens, the more I look at things and go like, yeah, they're just feeding our simulation little bits of things at a time so we can get used to that. Yeah.
Occupy Mars, Elon.
Uh-huh.
There you go. Well, this next one I'm going to go to, I'm trying not to give him away, but I got introduced to him. I've seen him in movies and other little sitcoms. I've saw him on Cold Case and another, I can't remember the other, he played a detective or a gangster or something or another one. Anyway, it's the Church of What's Happening Now, which is no longer on there, but it was Joey Diaz.
Oh,
and
okay.
That fucking guy is so hilarious. He's got his own, it's called Uncle Joey's Joint now. He moved from California. He moved back to North Burden, or actually New Jersey. I don't know if he's North Burden where he grew up at. But anyway, he's funnier than hell, man. And he had some good guests on there. And him and Lee would get on there every Sunday night and get high as fuck and just talk and have a good time. And they just didn't give a fuck. He's got a whole different podcast gimmick now. But when the church was what happening now was when I really liked that because Joey was just hilarious.
Yeah.
You know, just
he's a pretty wild stand-up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that one. The next one I'm just going to brief over at was Theo Vaughn. He has this past weekend. I've been watching that for several years now. He's a good stand-up comedian. He's probably my funniest or favorite one right now as far as stand-ups go. He's been on Rogan a couple of times. He really broke through. He was finding his voice right before he went on Rogan. And after he went on Rogan, man, he really just gained a lot of confidence, went back on again. And they got a show called A King and a Sting that comes out every Friday. It's him and Brandon Schwab, but Theo's been missing quite a bit, just due to his schedule and this and that. So every other couple of weeks on that show, they have too many different guests. Not like it was in the beginning, but so I'm more of a fan of this past weekend because he has when he don't have a guest, he has interesting thoughts of what happened over the weekend, and also just a weird take on things, a different perspective, and puts funny shit out there, and I just crack up like, oh, okay. And he gets sometimes he takes a little bit too far down and cries and has an emotional, fucking breakdown. But he just tells you that's the way it is. But and I know people probably think, well, Bobby, where's all your fucking wrestling podcast out? Well, here I'm gonna bring up one right now coming in. It's the Jim Cornette Experience. I love the Jim Cornette Experience. I listen to that show every week. Depending on what time it comes out, I'm going to throw that out there because, some of those shows are unpredictable. They used to have a Saturday schedule for I think it was Friday at one time, then it went to Saturdays. And now, due to scheduling or what have you, and I know people have lives, as you and I both found out, it's hard to get a podcast up on time sometimes.
Except for, 2 years at a time every Sunday or every Tuesday morning,
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of us.
We've knocked that out. Yeah. No, you've knocked that out. Give props. Yeah. So, but I'm a Cornette guy, and so I do like the experience, and I'm gonna leave it there because we'll come back to that later on, unless you want to talk about the experience itself.
Just who's this Jim Cornette guy? I don't think I've ever heard of him.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Okay. Well, you might have heard from him or about him on the 605 with Brian Last. I used to really enjoy that show. Now, this is not a dig. I don't listen to it as much as I used to, but I have to listen to the 605, and I enjoy the guests they have. I used to enjoy the sidekicks they had, but, for me to sit down and listen for 3 and 4 and 5 hours, I've got to break that down over a couple of days. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And the good thing about it, I'll say this, is it has timestamps, so you can just go to the 1 hour mark, like when they had Joe Malenko on there, or when they had X-Pac on there. I mentioned him because they both went on there and put me over, which I was glad. And I've also been a guest. I got to share my Sue the Shooter story on there, about a little incident that took place in a hotel room in Australia. We won't go to great details now. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I like that. I put that up there, although, like I said, I've dropped off of that a lot recently. For no other reason than time restraints on other stuff I'm watching, listening to, or doing throughout my week, So I think you'll like this next one. I'll just move on past that if you don't care.
Sure.
Booking the Territory, man. That's at BTT_podcast. And that's with Mike and Doc and Harper. Them guys did the entire Smoky Mountain Wrestling, all 200 episodes, man. And I'd been a guest on there, and it was really very cool to be on there. And then also I got to, I think Harper had to take some time off. It was right towards the end of the Smoky Mountain run, and I co-hosted with those guys, with Doc and Mike. And Mike Mills, to me, just dude, we check on each other. We have each other's phone number, kind of like you and I do, Jeremy. Hey, man, you okay out there? What's going on or something like that. So I like that and appreciate that, too. So it's someone I've met through podcasting, and I think a lot of. And, of course, we know giving a shout-out to a couple of their regular fans and Patreon members, and that's Adam and Sparks, Third Coast there, Sean. We got to meet them and talk to them. Hopefully I'll be talking to them again real soon. We'll talk about that later. But, so I like that podcast a lot. And, of course, they're doing the WCW Saturday night is what they, mainly do every week now, I think is where they're at. I'm not even sure where they're at, 80, I don't know what year they're in. But, again, I have to select, what I'm listening to. But those guys are funny, and they call it the most unprofessional podcast, but they're pretty damn professional.
No, it's a good show, and of course Mike has been on with us before.
Yes.
Friend of the show, and we do appreciate his support, obviously, and a lot of people really love his show. They have a good time. I follow them on their Facebook group, so everybody in there is having a great time.
Yeah.
A lot of filthy jokes and a lot of ass-eating talk, but
Yeah. Well, I know Harper likes to talk about that ass-eating, and I don't mind it. I remember I zoned out one time. We had a guest on. I said, I just sit there thinking about eating ass. I don't know where my mind went, but it went. But, I don't know where it went. But anyway.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we all know where it went.
But that said, we do appreciate the friendship and between us and the book and the territory. And Mike being a host and also our guest, and let me come over and host on his show as well, co-host rather. This next one will probably be no surprise to you. It's the Studcast. It's the Ron Fuller Studcast at Ron Fuller Welch on Twitter. But he's got a YouTube channel called Southeastern Rewind. And, man, he's got Old Continental up there. Comes about every Friday on YouTube. You can watch the Old Continental wrestling. And he's got, I think it's the USA. It's just a really good show. Old school. We had the privilege of having Ron on our podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And on the Studcast, not the YouTube channel, but on the Studcast part, I was listening, every week when it comes out, and I was going through like 1976 week by week, 1977 week by week in Knoxville, and he was just talking about every match, about the payoffs, some of these guys were making, the houses, how well they drew, because that was like the first territory he had bought, and it's just really, and then Ron is probably, I want to say arguably, I would say probably the best storyteller out there about professional wrestling. He can just tell a story and sucks you right in, and it's coming from a very reliable resource. And if you love professional wrestling like we do, and if you haven't listened to Ron Fuller Studcast, do yourself a favor and go give it a listen, and also go subscribe to his YouTube channel because he's got all kinds of old footage. Not only just the footage, but he's got the entire hour of several different programs up and going on his station on there. Again, it's the Southeastern Rewind on YouTube. A lot of good stuff up there.
Oh, no, it's great. It's probably the only place to really catch any of that. I don't know if anybody who's got access to any of those tapes besides him, right?
And I hear he's getting more is what he said on there recently. But right now he's got the Continental up there, he's got the Studcast, of course, is on there as well. He talks about different wrestlers each week that come through the territory. He's got the Southeastern Classics from up in Knoxville. It's just good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Talks about title defenses, talked about all the NWA champions that he had a chance to face. So I'll put that up there. And now I'm going to get, before I go to this last one I've got.
Hold on, Bobby. Okay. I got a question for you about a completely unrelated topic. But we were talking about footage and tapes, and Tony Khan bought Ring of Honor.
Oh, yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, and so now he's got access to 20 years of their tapes. He owns, and it wasn't, AEW didn't buy it. His dad didn't buy it. He bought it. And so real quick, the fact that a company folded and Vince McMahon didn't acquire their tapes, does that show that his handhold over, or his stranglehold over pro wrestling is almost broken?
Oh, I don't know. I saw you was tweeting about it. You and Sparks, I think, were smartening someone else up about it, of them having those tapes. I guess the one thing is this, was Vince even interested in it? I don't know. But I had heard, and again, this is just wrestling, you know how wrestlers like to talk. Mm-hmm. They said, oh, yeah, Cody's going to buy it. Cody's going to buy it. And I woke up that one morning and saw where Ring of Honor was purchased by Tony Khan there, and I was like, oh, okay. That is very interesting. I don't. What does that leave out there tape wise, Jeremy? Is there you got 20 years of Ring of Honor? Mm-hmm. What else is out there? Impact now, is that it? As far as if you wanted to someone's library? Yeah,
if you wanted to acquire somebody's library, it's going to be Impact, or it's going to be Japanese or Mexican companies, right? Well, yeah. Hold on. You also got Dave Marquez for 15 years now. Has been running wrestling companies all over the country. But yeah. Dave, for a guy who's as big in wrestling as he is, he flies under the radar a lot.
Yeah.
We kind of forget that he's, like just now, we kind of forget that he's hanging out there. Well, I guess CZW has been around for almost 20 years now, and they've got, But
see, that's why I really didn't answer your question. I know I skipped around it there a little bit, because I'm not sure what that my only thought would be. Maybe Vince wasn't interested, or and Tony just wanted his first personal collection, and is going to start something new. Is that the deal? When they start back up?
I guess he's talking about running it as a developmental territory, which I don't know what that means AEW is now, but
yeah, well, I remember when AEW, everyone was all excited. Someone just told me this at the gym a couple weeks ago or so. I was sitting riding a bike, and someone said, remember when AEW first came out, we was all excited because it said it wasn't going to be like WWE. And in fact, if it isn't just like WWE with, doing their stuff. So I don't know. That'll be interesting. I can see them, like I said, for what it's worth, I don't know what the fuck it means to be a developmental, I guess, as far as, is that saying they're like a lower level? Is that like, what is it, the fucking WWE had Florida at one time. They had, they had
OVW at a point. They have Florida Championship Wrestling.
Are they going to treat? How are they going to treat the Ring of Honor? Is it going to, are they going to be a touring company, or are they going to just film each week in the same location? You know what I'm saying? I don't really know what that would entitle. What I was thinking was, when you said it would be a competition. If he brings it up and puts it against AEW, maybe, like the Raw and SmackDown brands being different, you have two different brands, AEW and Ring of Honor. I don't know what's going to happen there.
Well, except these are actually owned by two different companies or two different entities. AEW is not the owner of ROH, even though that's what everybody keeps saying. Okay. It is Tony Khan himself who is just an officer in the corporation that owns AEW. His dad is still basically the primary funder of AEW.
Okay.
But no, it was kind of interesting to me because it used to just be that whoever folded up, Vince somehow got their tape library.
Right.
Yeah. And it was usually just a simple deal like, here's some cash, we put you guys in the Hall of Fame, I take over your tape library and your trademarks that you still have. They even got Vern Gagne to show up at one of the Hall of Fame one year. And I was like, I'm surprised Vern didn't show up with a pistol in his pocket,
Yeah.
No, I'm kind of interested in seeing, because when they first started talking about putting AEW together, it was going to be the sports-based company, high energy, competition-based, blah, 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 and that's not what it's really turned into.
Right.
But that is what ROH has always kind of been. has been the more athletic. Basically, it's the king of the indies. It's the best of the indies went there.
Yeah, look how many guys came up from there.
Yeah.
They cut their teeth in Ring of Honor and, went on to become huge stars elsewhere.
Yeah. So I'm kind of excited to see what they do there, even though I'm kind of on my interest in wrestling is kind of ebbing right now, but I'm kind of interested to see what they do. But I wanted to get to see if you had any thoughts on it.
Not that deep of thoughts, I'll say that. Sometimes I'm a casual fan at best,
Yeah, I got you.
And I usually, just like talking to you and other people involved that know I like wrestling, I end up in a conversation with them about wrestling, and I learned that away. Just about basically what you just now told me there. I told me more than what I already knew, I hope if Ring of Honor, however they open it up, whether they've got the tapes and they decide to start a touring company or they start just recording somewhere like at a studio, like Universal we used to, or down in, wherever, if they want, wherever they do it at. It gives boys and girls that are serious about a wrestling career, hopefully it gives them another place to work and make a paycheck at. And hopefully they'll produce a product that the fans truly enjoy. And I think what Ring of Honor had, I really enjoyed a lot of their shows.
Yeah.
A lot of their talent.
Yeah. Well, us being technical fans, we're going to like that product a little bit better.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that NWA had started using the word freelance wrestler a lot more. And I'm kind of, as long as people can find a way to make money doing it, I'm kind of excited about seeing a future where more people can work here and there and go, take a booking here, but still, have their primary job there. Because
I'm seeing that happening. I think it's going to.
Yeah.
I really do. Considering, go back about 4 years, we had WWE and that was it. And then we go back about 2 years once we restarted this, relaunched this podcast. It has come off life support. It's gotten up out of the bed and has walked down a hall and has exited the building now. So it's out there. It's out there. The chance of seeing more and more live professional wrestling, and also your viewing choices, whether you stream it or watch your TV or however you do your deal now, cable provider, what I'm saying there. There's opportunities to watch different products and see different stars and wrestlers. And I know people say, well, Vince likes to refer to them as superstars. It sounds better than wrestlers. Well, I like to think of them as professional athletes and professional wrestlers. And some of them are superstars. Some of them are stars, Many are stars. But, it's what it is. But anyway, I better get this book plug in.
Yes, get that book plug in.
Let's do that, because I've got 2 books out there. They're both available on Amazon. And the way Professor has this set up is, if you want to read my first book, hold on, Jeremy, I'm having a brain thought. Hold on a second. I was getting ready to say something. Pin Me, Pay Me, Have Boost Will Travel. If you want to get that book, go to tinyurl.com/blazebook1. My second book I kicked out on too, The Educational Wrestler, is available at tinyurl.com/blazebook2. Now, the reason I had a brain fart, because I looked out my notes there, and I was going to say, if you like to buy one of those books and get it autographed, you can see me next Saturday, March the 12th, in Chillicothe, Ohio, at the reunion. There's going to be over 40 stars there. Bobby Fulton is putting this thing together. It's going to be off the charts. There's a fan fest from 1 until 6, and then at 6:30 they're having a super show that has about 8 professional wrestling matches on it. And I'm excited just to go out there in public to, and that's not one of the things I like to do, as that, as far as going out into being in some big venue or place or anything like that. But I like to be at a table with my back against the wall and the fans coming up, and I can speak to them, shake their hand, give some of them a hug or what have you. This was going to take place a couple years ago till COVID shut it down, because Bobby has already had one of these before that was hugely successful, and I'm hoping this year's, this coming week's is just as successful. So with that said, if you come to Chillicothe next week, I'll be there from 1 until 6 signing copies of my book. But if you can't, and I understand, if you're from Canada, if you're from Japan, if you're from Australia, you probably are not going to make it to that fan fest. So go to tinyurl.com/blazebook1 and get Pin Me, Pay Me, Have Boots Will Travel, or go to tinyurl.com/blazebook2 to get I Kicked Out on 2, The Educational Wrestler. And Jeremy, we did have a couple books sold. I saw Canada on there. I saw a couple European sales on there.
Yeah.
One was Denmark. I meant to tell you, it's been a couple weeks back, but there was someone purchased a book from Denmark, an actual book, so not the download. So that's good to know. We're getting out there in the world somewhere that people are still purchasing the books.
Of course,
but I also wanted
those,
to give that show to plug.
Those Danes, you don't really want to draw their eyes too often. You remember what happened to the old world under the Danish Vikings coming out. Changed the face of the world, they did. I hear they're much nicer nowadays, though.
Okay. Well, I hope so. Oh, man. Anyway, I wanted to plug that the next, like I said, next Saturday's event. Just the rundown real quickly. Kevin Nash, Rick and Scott Steiner, and Kurt Angle is going to be there. I'm personally looking forward to seeing my main man, Road Dogg, Jesse James. I haven't seen him forever. Just going down through there. Get to see Tommy Rich again, and Shane Douglas, of course. Check this out. I know you'd like to see this. The last time I was there, J.J. Dillon was there. I spoke to him. The late Tex Johnson, that was the day we just passed each other. I could have met him that day. We didn't meet until about a month later. But he had his picture taken with J.J. Dillon. This time they got J.J. Dillon, Tully Blanchard, and Barry Windham together.
Holy smokes!
So,
that's worth going right there.
Exactly, and of course Bobby Fulton will be there as well. There's over 40 stars. It's called The Reunion, a Homecoming. It's Saturday, March 12th. It's at Unionodo High School in Chillicothe, Ohio. And Bobby had to tell me how to say it about 20 times. We spoke a couple weeks ago. We actually spoke via phone when he asked me to do a couple promos. And he said, Bobby, just say Union 2. That's what it is, basically. So it's at the high school, the Union 2 high school there. Unitu, that's it, Bobby. Say it like Bobby told you. Unitu High School in Chillicothe, Ohio. 1 to 6 is the meet and greet, and 6:30 is the 8 action-packed matches. Anyway, get out there, purchase the book, get a T-shirt, and have some fun. Enjoy some professional wrestling.
Yeah.
And with that, Jeremy, my other favorite podcast that I listen to on the regular is Jim Cornette's Drive-Thru. I like that over the Experience, and that's why I saved that one for last. That's one of my. Now these are not. I don't listen to these every week. All these I mentioned. I don't have that much time in a day if we went through this.
Right.
But normally throughout the week I schedule. Okay, this one dropped now. I'll get a half an hour in here, an hour there. In my car, and I'll have something going on, that I've started maybe after getting out in the morning or something, or at the gym. And so I enjoy the drive-through because that's the one where a lot of times they get a lot of questions from the fans, and Jim tells these tremendous stories. When I was talking about Ron Fuller, being a great storyteller, Jim Cornette's right up there too, as far as talking about the Mid-South territory, talking about the Crockett days, talking about sometimes in WWE when he was there, and of course he talks about Smoky Mountain and also about Ohio Valley Wrestling. And he gets some very interesting questions and, tells some very interesting stories if they're there at the right time. Plus, again, being a Cornette guy, Cornette just cracks me up, man. I love the guy, and he knows it. And he'll say something, and you're just like, that's Jim. That's Jim right there. It just cracks me up.
So I've been last year here I've been watching, or actually 2 years I've been watching YouTube more than just about anything else.
Yeah, myself as well.
And because I've listened to so much Jim Cornette over the years, his stuff pops up in my YouTube feed very often.
Right.
And the things he's doing now, where he is reading ad copy and then just going fucking batshit with the, oh yeah, but if you take this, then aliens are going to show up and they're going to anally probe you. And you got Brian Last, and we're going like, stop.
That's not what it's about. They had the one, they just killed it. It was the one about coding.
Oh, I've heard a few. Yeah.
he just buried it like, I'm like, geez, give us some of that advertising money. We'll take it. We'll try not to bury it too much.
I'll read that ad straight, man.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's pretty funny too. But,
the stuff he's been doing with that is so, so funny. Now, I do have to reveal that, the dude is opinionated. You got to watch Jim Cornette. Some of the shit that comes out of his mouth is, and the first time you and I took a break from this show, my little brother looks at me and he goes, can I quit pretending to like Jim fucking Cornette now?
Well, yeah. That's all right if he doesn't. We can't force him on anyone,
Nope.
But, he's very opinionated. All opinions of Jim's are of Jim's, and that's the way it is. And I tend to agree with a lot of them, but not everything,
Well,
so, but also, like I said, it's just someone I was around for, 3 years of my life, and then I fortunate enough through the years to see him at appearances. I don't know if he'll be doing any, but I'd love to see him pop up one of these appearances just one more time for old time's sake, for all the fans to see Jim Cornette one more time. But who knows, because I hear him tell it, he's not even going to the fucking post office anymore. He's hired people to go to the post office for him. So I don't think he's leaving Castle Cornette anytime soon.
Boy, it sure doesn't sound like it, does it?
No, it doesn't. But it would be nice to see him again. It's been about 3 years, I guess. I was at the anniversary show for All-Star Wrestling when they did 30 years of the Midnight Express, and it was Jim was there with Bobby, of course, Dennis, and Stan were all together, and so that's probably the last time I've seen them fresh off my mind. And speaking of which, Jeremy, I've got to share this with you, man.
Yes.
All-Star Wrestling, Saturday, April 9th in Madison, West Virginia. I'm completely over the moon about this. They've got a huge 16-year anniversary show that's coming to town. They've got just all kinds of stars going to be on this program. If you go to All-Star Wrestling, you can see who all is going to be there. Let me just do this real quickly for myself, just to tell you I don't get this wrong. I know several people. It's ASW in West Virginia is who it is. Their 16th anniversary show. They're showing Jeff Jarrett and just a ton of other talent that's going to be there. Okay.
Yeah.
Now on the poster, they got a picture in the background. Again, it's a Saturday, April 9th at Madison Civic Center. The 16th anniversary show. I've been asked to induct the late Tracy Smothers, the wide-eyed Southern boy himself, into the Hall of Fame. And that's why the hesitation was there. I'm kind of getting emotional.
Sure.
I didn't find this out till last night. I was contacted by the promoter, Gary Dameron. Very nice gentleman, very professional gentleman, runs first-class shows. They're going to have this show, and I was hoping to be a part of it because normally I had been to the anniversary shows several times where I've been involved in some way, and I had no idea if I was even going to be booked on this show because I hadn't heard anything back. It's just that I heard, I'll be in touch with you, Bobby, and that was back in January. I spoke to a couple other gentlemen that I know, and they was like, I wouldn't give up on that yet. I think he's going to contact you. And lo and behold, last night I was contacted, and it just said, would you like to come to my anniversary show, basically? And I was like, are Are you kidding me? Of course I want to, I want to be there in some way, and anyway, the way it worked out, I won't go to my personal message or anything, but basically it just came back with, Shane Storm wants me to manage him and his little team, this little entourage he has up there. And this is from Gary himself, and he said, I would like you to induct Tracy Smothers into our Hall of Fame. So Saturday, April 9th, that's what I'm going to be doing, Jeremy, and I'm already getting prepped up for that myself, but I'm excited, super excited about that. So anyway, I think we have one more announcement to make, and anything you want to ask, any questions or anything, or close this out before I have one more thing we have to go through?
Nope, go ahead and keep rolling because I'm starting to lose control of my dog right now.
Okay, well, real quickly, again, thanks to Time Warp, they're having their second Bluegrass Con on Saturday, May the 7th at the Kentucky Highland Museum here in Ashland, Kentucky. Start getting your tickets now. People who's going to be on this show are DDP, Sergeant Slaughter, Jimmy Hart, Ricky Steamboat, Shane Douglas. Two Cold Scorpio is going to be there, as well as, Ron Simmons, man, is going to be there.
That's really cool.
And, and they're going to have a show in Ashland that same night. So they're having a meet and greet with all those stars at the Kentucky Highland Museum. And then later that evening, they're having a live wrestling event. I'm not sure who all the matches are going to be, but FTC is putting that on with the Time Warp. And I want to personally reach out and say thank you to FTC at Joe, the wrestling agent, and also to Earl, the owner of Time Warp. And thank you both, gentlemen. I appreciate the opportunities you give me. And Jeremy, I want to say thank you to you because we talked about podcasts, and this podcast wouldn't be possible without you taking the time to do notes, to do research, to put it together, to edit it, and then get it out there like you have for the last 2 years, every Tuesday morning at about 6 o'clock. Well, actually, it comes out midnight here. It's not how you do it, but I'll get it about 6 o'clock in the morning. But if I'm up, I'll start it, on a Tuesday morning at midnight. But thank you so much as well.
Yeah, no, I've seen that a couple times where I've seen that you've downloaded it like 12:02 your time, and I'm like, Bobby, go to fucking bed.
Exactly. I get jacked up, man. I'm not going to lie. I go to the wrestling camp. I've been in the house all day, and I go over there I get there about 6. Students are in a little bit early, whatever. They come in, class starts at 7 or 9. I get to be around these young people, and they're training and busting their ass and working. I get that energy, and I come home, and I'm like jacked up from that, and I'm like, just a couple more hours, it's going to be midnight, and I'm watching a movie or whatever I'm doing, eating. That's one night I do. 2 nights a week I do eat rather later than what I normally do, and I wait for it to come down, and if I'm up, by God, I listen to it right then, at 12:02, like you said. So, but thanks again for putting it out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and take a second here. If anybody out there listening is a Star Trek, especially the old school Star Trek fan, we have a new podcast called Strange New Trek, which Bobby alluded to, or actually flat out said earlier. You can find us anywhere you listen to your podcast. Give us a listen because we are brand new, haven't done any advertising, and literally starting off with 10 listeners. So if you get a chance, come check us out, leave a review. It would be really appreciated. And Bobby, that's everything well, thank you. Yeah. I like the act of creating a new show quite a bit,
Good.
Even though I've got, I burn out on stuff pretty quickly, but I do like creating. So,
There you go.
Yeah.
Cow Dog is about ready to call it time limit.
So yeah.
Let's take it home. I'll just close out with this. You take us on home from there. I've mentioned several of them. I'll be out there at least once a month for the next 3 months, and that's my one day, and I enjoy it. So I'll see you at the matches, wrestling fans. All
right, everybody. For myself, Professor Jeremy Vilmur, the late Tex Johnson, and Double B Billy Blaze. Bye-bye, everybody.
Fuck you.